Welcome students to your accounts class. So in this lecture we will study the rationale and methods of depreciation. I am Janvi Agarwal, Assistant Professor, School of Management, BBD University. So the learning objective of this lecture is we will learn about the rationale of depreciation, methods of providing and allocating depreciation, and the fixed installment method of depreciation. The first topic of our lecture is rationale of depreciation. So, the main purpose of providing a depreciation to any asset is to match the expenses recognition of for an asset to the revenue generated by that asset. So, it basically means the main purpose of providing a depreciation to any asset is to match its expense with the revenue that it generates, means that the asset generates. This is called the matching principle, where revenues and expenses both appears in the income statement in the same reporting period, thereby giving the best view of how well a company has performed in a given reporting period. So, this matching principle states that the revenues and expenses both appear in the income statement in the same reporting period. Thereby, it gives the best view to a company of how well a company has performed in a given reporting period. The trouble with this matching concept is that there is only a tenuous connection between the generation of revenues and specific assets. Under the tenets of constraint analysis, all of the assets of a company should be treated as a single system that generates a profit. Thus, there is no way to link a specific asset to specific revenue. So this concept, matching concept, is has some limitations. That is, it exactly combines or it matches the or it compares the expenses of an asset with the revenues. So it is a very big constraint for doing an analysis. Why? Because all of the assets of a company should be treated as a single system that generates a profit. But there is no way to link a specific asset, revenue of a specific asset to its expenses. To get around this linkage problem, we assume a steady rate of depreciation over the useful life of such asset. So, because of this linking problem, we have to assume that a rate of depreciation must be over the life of that asset, so that we approximate a linkage between that recognition of revenues and expenses over the time. This approximation threatens our credulity even more when a company uses accelerated depreciation, since the main reason for using it is to defer the payment of taxes and not to better match revenues and expenses. So this approximation threatens the threatens our credibility even more when the company uses the accelerated depreciation. Why? Because the main reason for using this depreciation is to study the comparison or difference between the revenues and the expenses, the taxes that the company pays. So it is better not to compare the revenue and the expenses of that particular asset. Also, the matching principle does not work in those cases where depreciation expense is recognized, but there are no sales as occurs in the seasonal sales situation. So, this principle does not work in those conditions where depreciation expense is recognized, but there are no sales, like the seasonal products. The type of depreciation that most closely links the creation of revenue to asset usage is the depletion method, which charges natural resources to expense as they are extracted. So this type of depreciation mostly links the creation of the revenue to the asset, where the depletion of asset is used, which charges natural resources to expenses as they are extracted. However, this option is not available for most types of fixed assets. This type matching concept doesn't apply to most of the fixed asset. It only applies to the natural resources that are being exploited and that are being depreciated due to its continuous use. Under no circumstances should we consider depreciation to be a approximation of a decline in an asset's fair value. Since fair value can increase or decrease over time, it is related to supply and demand rather than usage. So, under no circumstances we should consider the depreciation as an approximation of decline of a particular asset, as fair value of an asset may increase or decrease along with the time, and it is exactly related to the supply and demand of that particular asset. If we are not to use the depreciation at all, then we would be forced to charge all the assets to expense as soon as we buy them. So if we were not using depreciation on an asset, then we would be forced to charge all the assets to expense as soon as we buy them. This would result in a large loss in the months when this transaction occurs, followed by unusually high profitability in those periods when the corresponding amount of revenue is recognized with no offsetting expenses. So this would also result into very large, very big losses in the months where transaction occurs, followed by the unusual profitability in those periods where the revenue is recognized with no offsetting expenses. Thus, a company that does not use depreciation will have front-loaded expenses and will experience extremely variable financial results. The typical journal entry to record depreciation is a debit to depreciation expense and a credit to accumulated depreciation, which appears as a contra account in the balance sheet. So the journal entry for recording the depreciation is a we debit the depreciation expense and credit the accumulated depreciation. So this was the rationale of depreciation. Now we will start with the methods of providing or allocating depreciation. So what are the various methods which we apply or which we calculate along which we use the methods which we use for providing depreciation to our fixed assets. So there are many methods of providing a depreciation to our fixed asset, but in our syllabus we will have to study only three methods of providing depreciation to a asset. Various methods have been devised for providing depreciation. Different methods are suitable for different assets depending upon the nature and type of the asset. So I've already stated this, that there are various and many methods of providing depreciation to an asset. But different methods applies to different types of assets. That totally depends upon the nature and the type of the asset. These methods are enumerated as under. Firstly, the fixed installment method, we will have to study the fixed installment method. Secondly, we will have to study the diminishing balance method. And thirdly, we will have to study the sinking fund method. Okay, so these three methods we will study one by one along with the numerical. So, moving forward, we'll study our first method of providing depreciation, that is fixed installment method. These methods are very easily understandable. Numericals are also very easy, so you will be able to understand them very easily. But while I will be explaining the numericals, you need to have a notebook and a pen with you so that you can do the numerical as I will explain. So this method is also termed as original cost method because under this method the depreciation is charged at a fixed percentage on original cost of the asset. So fixed installment method is also known as the original cost method. Why? Because under this method depreciation is charged at a fixed percentage and only on the original cost of that particular asset. The amount of depreciation remains equal from year to year. So the amount of depreciation doesn't changes, it doesn't varies with year. It remains same, it remains equal, and such method is also known as equal installment method and straight line method. So while giving the exams you may get different names of this method, like this method is can be called as fixed installment method, original cost method, equal installment method, or a straight line method. So there are four names of one method. So keep this in mind. The amount of depreciation remains equal from year to year, and therefore this method is also known as equal installment method and straight line method. Under this method, the amount of depreciation is calculated by deducting the scrap value from the original cost of the asset. So under this method, in this method, the amount of depreciation is basically calculated by deducting the scrap value of that particular asset from the original cost of that asset. Okay, we'll deduct the scrap value of the particular asset from the original cost of that asset, and then we'll divide that by the remaining balance. We'll divide that by the number of years that the asset has, means the estimated life that the asset has. The depreciation is also calculated and charged annually while reduce the original cost of the asset to zero. So the depreciation is also calculated and charged annually. This depreciation is also calculated and charged annually while reducing the original cost of the asset to zero. We will depreciate the asset until the value of the asset is zero, or its scrap value, or it is equal to its scrap value, as the case may be, at the end of its estimated life. Under this method, the amount of depreciation is calculated by the following formula. The following for calculating the depreciation under this method is yearly depreciation equals to original cost of the asset minus estimated scrap value divided by whole divided by estimated life of the asset. I am repeating this. Yearly depreciation under fixed installment method or straight line method is calculated as original cost of the asset minus a scrap value of that asset whole divided by estimated life of that asset. Now we'll see the example. For example, if the original cost of the asset is 1 lakh and its scrap value is likely to be 15,000, after its estimated life of 10 years, the depreciation written off will be. So how we will calculate the depreciation in this case? The original cost of the asset is 1 lakh rupees. So we have got the original cost of the asset. Estimated scrap value is 15,000. Estimated life is 10 years. So 1 lakh minus 50,000 whole divided by 10. So 1 lakh minus 15,000 will be 85,000 divided by 10 will be rupees 8,500. So in this case rupees 8,500 will be charged every year as depreciation. Merits of fixed installment method. So now we'll see the merits of fixed installment method. Simplicity. So first merit of this method is it is very simple. I have told you this method is very simple. Calculation of this method is very simple, and as such this method is also widely popular and accepted by each and every company. Equality of depreciation burden. Under this method, equal amount of depreciation is debited to P&L account of each year. Hence, the burden of depreciation on each year's net profit is equal. So, the depreciation burden is equally in every year. Okay, so under this method, the equal amount of depreciation is charged under in every year. So, it is debit the amount debited as a depreciation from P&L account will be same every year. Hence, the burden of charging the depreciation of on every year will is minimized and it will be equal every year. Assets can be completely written off. Under this method, the book value of an asset can be reduced to net scrap value or zero value, which is not possible under some other methods. So, under this method, the book value of the particular asset is reduced until it becomes zero or it is equal to its scrap value, which is not possible in any of the other methods. Knowledge of original cost and up-to-date depreciation. Under this method, the original cost of the asset is shown in the balance sheet and the up-to-date depreciation is shown as a direct deduction from it. As such, the information of original cost of the asset and its up-to-date depreciation is available at any time. Various assets also maintain their separate identity under this method. So, knowledge of original cost and up-to-date depreciation. Under this method, the original cost of the asset is shown in the balance sheet. So, the original cost of a particular asset is shown in the balance sheet and the up-to-date depreciation is also shown as a direct deduction from it. So, when we prepare a balance sheet, then the original cost of the particular asset is shown in that balance sheet and we deduct the depreciation, amount of depreciation from that original cost of the asset there in the balance sheet itself. As such, the information of original cost of the asset and its up-to-date in depreciation is available at any time. So, the information of the cost of the asset and the up-to-date depreciation is available to the company anytime. These assets also maintain their separate identity under this method. Now, the merits of a fixed installment method. Difficulty in computation. First, the merit of this method is when there are different machines having different lifespans, the computation of depreciation becomes complicated because the depreciation on each machine will have to be calculated separately. So, this is one of the disadvantage of this method. Why? Because it is very difficult to calculate the depreciation of different machinery with the different time estimated life and different rate of depreciation. So different machines have different lifespans and calculating the depreciation of these different machinery with different time spans becomes complicated because the depreciation on each machine will have to be calculated separately. Now next, unequal charge against income. Repair charges go on increasing year by year as the asset becomes older, but as the equal depreciation is charged under this method, each year the total burden charged to the P&L account in respect of depreciation and repairs put together will not be equal each year. So the repair charges that may occur due to the repair of that machinery goes on increasing year to year as the asset becomes older. But as the equal depreciation is charged under this method, we know that equal depreciation is charged each year under this method. The total burden is charged to P&L account in respect of depreciation and repairs put together will not be equal each year. So the repairs vary but depreciation remains same. Again, the calculation becomes complicated. The total burden will be lighter in earlier years and heavier during later years. So while starting the machinery or while starting the charging depreciation on a particular asset, it will be easy to calculate and as we will move forward, it will become more complicated. Undue pressure in later years. It is a well-known fact that the efficiency and usefulness of the machine is more in earlier years in comparison to later years. So this is a very well-known fact that the efficiency and usefulness of a particular machine is more in starting of that machinery rather than it moves forward and it is being used constantly. So it is a machine is useful and it is efficient in initial years in comparison to the later years. As such, more depreciation is charged in earlier years in comparison to the later years. So more depreciation is charged on the earlier years rather than in later years, whereas depreciation remain constant from year to year under this method. Omission of interest factor. This method does not take into consideration the loss of the interest on the amount invested in the asset. The amount would have earned interest had it been invested outside the business. So this method does not takes into consideration the loss of the interest that we have invested in an asset. If a company has suffered any loss of interest on the investment that they have made in the asset, it does not take into consideration. The amount would have earned interest. Obviously, the amount of investment would have earned some interest, but it is ignored by the fixed installment method. And the last line that is mentioned that had it been invested outside the business, this means that if we would have been invested this amount somewhere else, we have invested this amount, particular amount in some other investments, then it would have earned some interest, but in depreciation in this case, we would not have earned any interest for this particular investment. Unrealistic to write off the value of asset to zero. Sometimes even after the value of the asset is reduced to zero in the books, it continues to be used in the business in actual practice. So it is an unrealistic practice to write off the value of the asset to zero. Why? Because sometimes even after the asset value of the asset equals to zero in the books, it continues to show the business it continues to be used by a business in actual practice. Business doesn't stop using the machinery even if its value is zero in the books of accounts. So this is a unrealistic practice. It is not practically possible. Next, difficulty in determination of scrap value. It is quite difficult to assess the true scrap value of the asset after a long period, say 15 or 20 years from the date of installation. So, it is very difficult to assess the true value of the particular asset, true scrap value of the particular asset, when the machinery is installed for more than 15 to 20 years. So scrap value cannot be determined in case if the machinery is of 15 or 20 years. It is difficult to determine the scrap value of that particular asset. And lastly, the suitability. This method is suitable only for those assets whose useful life can be estimated accurately and which do not require much expense on repairs and renewals. So this method is suitable only for those assets whose life can be estimated accurately. The life of those assets whose life can be measured accurately and which do not require much expenses on repairs and renewals. This method is suitable for those kind of machineries and companies. Now moving towards the accounting treatment or the journal entries of this particular method, fixed installment method. So what accounting treatment or what journal entries do we pass while preparing the depreciation account? Following entries are passed in this method. First entry will be made in case when entry for we are making entry for purchase of the asset. Asset account debit to bank account. So keep in mind while purchasing the asset, we'll have to write the entry we'll make is asset account debit to bank account. Why? Because asset is being purchased and we will purchase the asset through bank, so we will credit the bank account. Secondly, entry for providing depreciation at the end of each year. If we are providing the depreciation to that particular asset, we will pass the entry as depreciation account debit to asset account. Okay, we are, what we are doing, we are debiting the depreciation account. Why? Because the depreciation account is being increased and asset, the value of the asset is decreasing, so we are crediting the asset. So depreciation account debit to asset account. And entry for amount realized on the sale of the asset. If we are selling the asset, so the amount realized, what will be the entry for amount realized from the sale of the asset? The entry will be bank account debit to asset account. Why this is being done? Because if we are selling the asset and we'll get the money for that asset, some money for that asset, so our bank account will increase. Why? Because that money will be directly transferred to our bank account. So bank account debit to asset account. Asset account, this machinery has been sold. So the value of the asset will be decreased. So that is why bank account debit to asset account. Entry in case of loss of the asset, sale of the asset. If the, if while selling the asset we are suffering, we have suffered loss, then in that case P&L account will be debited to asset account. And in case we are earning profit from that sale of the asset, the entry will be reversed. Asset account will be debited and P&L account will be credited. Okay. Now we'll see the numerical of this method, fixed installment method. Let's see. On 1st April 2009, Atul Glass Limited purchased a machinery for rupees 90,000. Write all the information very properly. Like on 1st April 2009, Atul Glass Limited is purchasing a machinery for rupees 90,000 and he is also spending rupees 6,000 on its carriage and 4,000 on its erection. On the date of purchase, it was estimated that the effective life of the machinery will be 10 years and after 10 years, its scrap value will be rupees 20,000. So, while purchasing, it was estimated that the life of the machinery will be 10 years and after 10 years, the scrap value of that machinery will be 20,000. Prepare a machinery account, depreciation account for 4 years after providing depreciation on fixed installment method. Accounts are closed on 31st March every year. This is the question. I hope it is clear to all. So keep in mind that for every question we need the rate of depreciation or the amount of depreciation. But in this case, we have the original cost of the asset for it, for which the machinery has been purchased, the transportation cost or the carriage cost, and the erection. And this means the installation charges. We have all the three things, but we do not have the amount or the rate of depreciation. We also have the effective life of the machinery. We also have the scrap value, but we do not have the amount or the rate of depreciation. Then in this case, we will have to calculate the amount of depreciation or the rate of depreciation. We have already seen the formula of calculating the amount of depreciation in this method. So, as the rate of depreciation is not given in this question, the amount of annual depreciation will be arrived as under how we have studied this. The formula for calculating the amount of depreciation will be original cost of the asset. First of all, you will write annual depreciation equals to or yearly depreciation equals to original cost of asset minus scrap value of the asset whole divided by estimated life of that asset. So we know, we have all the information. We have the original cost of that asset, we have the scrap value of that asset, and we also have the estimated life of that asset. So we can put this in formula, these values in the formula, and we can calculate the amount of depreciation. So now see amount, or yeah, the money for which the machinery has been purchased is rupees 90,000. We have spent 6,000 on its carriage and we have spent rupees 4,000 on its installation. So total machinery for total cost for machinery that we have incurred is 90,000 plus 6,000 plus 4,000. So 90,000 plus 6,000 and 4,000 equals to rupees 1 lakh. So total cost of the asset is rupees 1 lakh. Okay, and the scrap value is rupees 20,000. Effective life is 10 years. So what will be the answer? Annual depreciation equals to 1 lakh minus 20,000 divided by 10 years. 1 lakh 20,000 minus 20,000 divided by 10 years, the answer will be 8,000. 1 lakh minus 20,000, 80,000. 80,000 divided by 10, 8,000. So we have calculated the amount of depreciation, that is rupees 8,000. We will have to charge 8,000 as depreciation every year till 4 years. Okay, the amount of depreciation will remain same for each and every year till 4 years. We can also calculate the rate of depreciation in this case. This is a secondary thing. Although we have already calculated the amount of depreciation, that is rupees 8,000, just a simple formula, rate of depreciation equals to amount of depreciation upon total cost of the asset into 100. This will bring the rate of depreciation. Okay, so amount of depreciation is 8,000. Total cost of the asset is 1 lakh into 100. So 8% will be the rate of depreciation. So this is the rate of depreciation. Though we do not need this now. Why? Because we have already calculated the amount of depreciation. But if you will calculate this 8%, if you want to calculate depreciation using rate of depreciation, the result will be same. Moving forward, we'll have to make the machinery account in this case. Why? Because the question has asked for providing the machinery account and depreciation account for 4 years. So, firstly, we will make the machinery account with, these are the columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 columns. We'll draw 6 columns, and as we used to prepare our cash books, the same format is being used for depreciation, debit side, credit side. In debit side, we will make date column, particular column, amount column. In credit side, we'll also make date column, particular column and amount column. So now what we'll have to do, we have to start the question with 1st April 2009, when the machine is being purchased. So machine is being purchased on 1st April 2009. So start preparing the machinery account. On 1st April 2009, machinery is being purchased. You will write to bank account rupees 90,000, to bank account rupees 6,000, to bank account rupees 4,000. To the 6,000 was for carriage and rupees 4,000 was for erection or installation charges. But all the three things are being happened on April 1st, 2009. So 2009, April 1st, you can also write 1 lakh in total, or you can bifurcate them and show. So we in this question they have shown to bank account rupees 19,000, the cost for which the machinery has been purchased. April 1, again to bank account, the carriage expense that has been incurred rupees 6,000, and again the to bank account for the installation expenses rupees 4,000. This is the total. The total of these amounts will be 1 lakh rupees. Now the depreciation is charged on 31st March of next year. For example, if here we have started on April 1st, 2009, after 12 months depreciation will be charged. So depreciation will be charged on 2010 March 31st. 12 months depreciation is charged here. So by depreciation account, 8% on 1 lakh, or we have calculated the amount of depreciation, that is 8,000. So depreciation account will show by depreciation account rupees 8,000, and the balance will be 1 lakh minus 8,000, that is 92,000. this will be balance on March 31st by balance carried down rupees 92,000. Same we will do for same process we will do for next 3 years. What we'll do now? We will bring the balance to next year. So to balance brought down rupees 92,000. Now what will happen? We'll again charge same amount of depreciation on on March 31st 2011. This amount is being this depreciation is being charged on 2010 March 31st. The brought down value will be on April 1st 2010. Now we will charge the depreciation after 1 year or 12 months, that is 2001 March 31st by depreciation 8,000. The remaining amount will be 92,000 minus 8,000, that is 84,000. So this will be balance carried down on March 31st 2011. Next year we will brought down the amount of the balance amount, that is 84,000. So here we will write April 1st 2011 to balance brought down 84,000. Again we'll charge the depreciation after 12 months, that is 2012 March 31st by depreciation account 8,000, and the balance will be 84,000 minus 8,000, that is 76,000. And this balance again will be brought down to next year, that is 2012 April 1st. To balance brought down 76,000. Now we'll again charge the depreciation after 12 months, that is 2013 March 31st. We'll charge the depreciation on 31st March 2013. Depreciation by depreciation account 8,000, 76,000 minus 8,000, that is 68,000. This is the balance carried down on that particular year, that is 2013 March 31st. These are the 4 years for which the depreciation has been charged. Year 1 depreciation, year 2 depreciation, year 3 depreciation, and year 4 depreciation. So these are the 4 depreciations that are charged for this particular machinery. Now we'll complete the question by writing the opening balance or balance brought down of that particular year, that is 2013 April 1st to balance brought down. The balance is 68,000. The machinery that initially costed of rupees 1 lakh after charging depreciation for 4 years, now it will be costing for 68,000. Now we will have to make depreciation account for this particular question. Again, debit credit, date particular amount, date particular amount. Here we will have to show only the machine amount of that has been transferred to P&L account, and the amount of machinery that has been deducted, or amount of depreciation that has been deducted from that particular machinery from that year. So 2010 March 31st, we'll transfer the profit or loss to the statement to profit and loss account, that is 8,000, 8,000, 8,000, 8,000. These are the amount of depreciation, and here we will write to machinery account 8,000, 8,000, 8,000 and 8,000. These are also the amount of depreciation. So in depreciation account, in debit side, we'll show the amount that has been deducted from the machinery for that particular year, and in credit side, we'll show the amount that has been transferred to profit and loss account for that particular year. Question number 2. On 1st April 2010, a company purchased a plant for rupees 2 lakh. The useful life of the plant is 10 years and the estimated residual value, that is scrap value, is expected to be 20% of the original cost. Determine the rate of depreciation under SLM and prepare the plant account for first 3 years. Accounts are closed on 31st March every year. So this question is very clear that on 1st April 2010, a company has purchased a plant for rupees 2 lakh. The life of this machinery or plant will be 10 years and the scrap value is 20% of the original cost. So we'll have to calculate the scrap value in this case. So how we will calculate? The scrap value will be 20% of 2 lakh. So 20% of 2 lakh will be 40,000. Okay, so scrap value will be 40,000. Now we will have to determine the amount of depreciation. Again, we'll put the same formula for taking out the depreciation, amount of depreciation. Annual depreciation equals to original cost of the asset minus scrap value divided by estimated life. So original cost of the asset is 2 lakh. Scrap value we have calculated 40,000 and estimated life will be 10 years. The useful life of the plant is 10 years. So the amount of depreciation or annual depreciation will be 2 lakh minus 40,000 divided by 10 years. That is 16,000. Again, you can calculate the date of depreciation with the same formula that we have discussed in the previous question. Now we will prepare a plant account with same format, date particular amount, credit and debit. We will be starting with the purchase of the machinery. That is, we have purchased the machinery on April 1st, 2010. So, 2010, April 1st to bank account. How much? 2 lakh rupees. Now, if we are starting the plant account on April 1st, 2010, we will charge the depreciation on 31st March 2011. So, charge the depreciation on 31st March 2011 by depreciation account. How much? 16,000. 2 lakh minus 16,000, that is 1 lakh 84,000. And these are the this 2 lakh minus 2 lakh minus 1 lakh 84,000 will be 16,000. Sorry. 2 lakh minus 16,000 will be 1 lakh 84,000. So this balance will be again brought down to the next year, that is April 1st, 2011. To balance brought down 1 lakh 84,000. Now again we will charge depreciation for next year, that is 2012 March 31st. By depreciation account 1 lakh 16,000 and 1 lakh 84,000 minus 16,000, the balance will be 1 lakh 68,000. So this will be the balance for the next year. On 2012 April 1st, we brought down the balance. To balance brought down 1 lakh 68,000. April, again after 1 year, we will charge the depreciation, that is 2013 March 31st by depreciation account 16,000. So 1 lakh 68,000 minus 16,000 will be 1 lakh 52,000. These are the 3 years for which the depreciation has been charged: 16,000, 16,000 and 16,000. Now the leftover amount for this particular machinery is 1 lakh 52,000. So we will show this in the same year 2013. We have ended on 2013 March 31st. We will start from 2013 April 1st. To balance brought down 1 lakh 52,000. So this was the question for the fixed installment method. Thank you. Now we will be continuing our other two methods in our next lecture. Till then, take care.